fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The market was a furnace of scent and sound, a living beast that breathed fire and sang in 1,000 discordant voices. Burnt sugar clung to the air, sweet and acrid, mingling with the metallic tang of fresh blood from the skirmish that had erupted hours before. Smoke curled around the stalls, wrapping my skin in a warm, choking embrace while my boots sank into frostbitten mud that bit back with every step, each squelch a reminder that the day was dying and the night was already hungry. I could feel the weight of the crowd's gaze upon me, their eyes like 1,000 needles pricking at my skin, making me shiver despite the warmth of the fire that seemed to burn within me. The smell of exotic spices wafted through the air, enticing me with its sweet aroma, but I knew better than to be tempted by its allure. I pulled my cloak tighter around my shoulders, feeling the rough wool scrape against my cheek. The market's chaos was a tapestry of colors, scarlet banners flapping like wounded birds, the deep violet of exotic spices, the dull gray of iron weapons glinting in the dying light. Merchants shouted in guttural tongues, their words a cacophony that threatened to drown out the thrum of my own heartbeat. I could hear the clink of coin, the crack of a broken cartwheel, the distant howl of a wolf that seemed to echo from the hills beyond the city walls. The sound sent a shiver down my spine, and I couldn't help but wonder what other dangers lurked in the shadows, waiting to pounce. My magic thrummed like a forbidden drum beneath my ribs, a restless ember that flared whenever a man's hand brushed my skin. It was a low, insistent vibration, like the hum of a distant storm, and it reminded me of the promise I had made to myself years ago, to never let anyone see the fire that lived inside me. Yet now, as the crowd pressed tighter, the ember grew hotter, licking the inside of my throat, eager to burst into flame. I felt a bead of sweat trickle down my forehead, and I knew I had to keep my emotions in check, lest I reveal my true nature to the world. I thought back to the days when I had first discovered my magic, the way it had coursed through my veins like liquid fire, burning away my fears and doubts. But I had learned to control it, to keep it hidden beneath a mask of calm and serenity. And now, as I stood in the midst of this chaotic market, I knew I had to draw upon that control once more. I felt Kale's presence before I saw him, his dark cloak parting the crowd like a storm cloud. The air seemed to shift, the temperature dropping a fraction as his shadow fell across my path. He moved with a predator's grace, each step measured, each breath controlled. When he finally reached me, his hand seized my shoulder with an iron grip that sent a shiver of both fear and longing through my spine. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered, his breath hot against my ear, the words a caress that ignited the fire in my chest. Before I could answer, Dorian slipped behind me, his fingers sliding coolly around my waist. The contrast of his icy touch against Kale's scorching hand made my skin tingle, a delicious ache blooming between my ribs. He pressed his body close, his chest rising and falling in rhythm with my own, his voice a low murmur. "Let them think we are enemies, but we know the truth." I felt a flutter in my chest as I realized the truth in his words. We were bound together by a thread of fate, a thread that had been woven from the very fabric of our souls. Riven emerged from the shadows, his dark eyes flickering with mischief. He brushed a stray lock of hair from my face, his fingertips lingering on my cheek long enough to leave a faint, electric trace. "The world will crumble around us," he said, his tone both threat and promise, "but we will rise together, fire and steel intertwined." The three of them surrounded me, each hand a different temperature, each promise a different promise. My magic surged, a storm of heat and ice, desire and dread, as the market erupted around us. The crowd's roar became a distant drum, and in that moment I understood the weight of the choice I carried, to surrender to the fire that burned within me, or to let the cold steel of their devotion shape my destiny. I thought of all the times I had tried to suppress my magic, to keep it hidden away from prying eyes. But now, as I stood amidst these three men, I knew that I could no longer deny the truth. My magic was a part of me, a part that I could no longer keep hidden. And as I looked into their eyes, I knew that I was ready to unleash it, to let it burn bright and fierce, no matter the cost. The market seemed to fade away, and all that was left was the four of us, suspended in a world of our own creation. I felt Kale's hand tighten around my shoulder, Dorian's fingers dig deeper into my waist, and Riven's eyes burn with an inner fire. And in that moment I knew that I was ready to take the leap, to surrender to the fire that burned within me, and to see where it would take us. The world around us melted away, and all that was left was the thrum of my magic, the beat of their hearts, and the promise of a future yet to be written. As we stood there, the crowd's roar grew fainter, and the market's chaos receded into the background. All that was left was the sound of our breathing, the feel of our skin touching, and the knowledge that we were on the cusp of something new, something that would change the course of our lives forever. And as I looked into their eyes, I knew that I was ready to take the first step, to embark on a journey that would take us to the very limits of our desires and beyond. The fire that burned within me grew hotter, spreading its flames throughout my body, and I knew that I was ready to unleash it, to let it burn bright and fierce, and to see where it would take us. The world around us was about to change, and I was ready to be the catalyst for that change. I was ready to surrender to the fire that burned within me, and to let it shape my destiny. And as I stood there, surrounded by the three men who had captured my heart, I knew that I was ready to take the leap, to see where the fire would take us, and to discover the secrets that lay hidden within its flames.